Welcome. We're going to do the coffee video. A little different today. Usually I have a tripod and set everything up. The gym has gone the way of Lord of the Flies since it's been shut down for 10 days or a week or so. Kid stuff everywhere. So we're going to address training without equipment today, okay? Let's get to the coffee first. Now, what we're drinking out of today is, let me get the lid for this. This is a nice 30-ounce tumbler, I think, from Black Rifle Coffee. It is themed like the Coffee Saves roast that we've done in the past here. I really like it. This, I find, here's the lid for it, just a standard lid. The paint covering on this is pretty heavy duty. This is legit. I've had this for about 3 months now or more, and I don't have a single scratch on it. Not on the bottom, nothing. Like, it's still as good as the day it shipped. Keeps your stuff hot just long enough that you're gonna want it, and I find it's just the right amount of coffee for me, like first thing in the morning. I was having a hard time finding a good size that was transportable for myself, and this is a good one for me. Not too much, not too little. Okay, so that's our tumbler. Put it right there. Now, the coffee we're going to do today is coffee or die. Okay. Now these, I'll give you some pictures, maybe some video clips of all these different bags. Okay. But the reason I have 3 bags is Black Rifle has changed the bags 3 times since I've been buying from them. And I coincidentally just happened to be keeping the bags for a video and never got around to it, even though it's one of my favorite coffees from them. I have 3 bags because through their membership, like, ship your coffee every month, Coffee or Die was the only one that I liked from the repeating coffees. So I kept getting it. I have a lot of Coffee or Die orders. Interesting how they changed it up over the time. When it first started, their description says Central American and Colombian Supremo coffee. This is the coffee Benjamin Franklin had in mind. Okay, so it's kind of in line with their theme of patriotism and stuff like that. And then the next bag they went to was in the roasting scale they had an 8 out of 10 for the roasting scale. And then the next one they say a rotating variety of specialty coffees from around the world that is hand selected by our master roaster from carefully sourced farms. So this is, they changed it. They switched their Coffee or Die brand to kind of be the leftovers that they would roast to be kind of whatever for that run. And it doesn't tell you, and then the roast is no longer an 8, it's not a dark, it's variable, okay? And I've got to say, over time I did notice it changing a bit. I didn't like it as much as I did the very first ones. And then the new bag, they went to these, gusseted bottom bags. Now it says, this iconic roast pays tribute to the determination of the American spirit. So it's like nothing about the actual coffee on the back of the bag now. Just kind of interesting how they've switched that up over time. I prefer the earlier one, but whatever. This is a good coffee, good enough for me to drink on a regular basis. When I was ordering from them, it does not sour when it gets cold, but it does kind of get a little bit on the stale side. It is a darker roast. They do keep it on the darker side. It makes me think a little bit like a hay barn or like a closed up pub type of a flavor. It's aromatic, but it's very deep in there. It's not a light and bright coffee at all. It is it's not spicy. It's very smooth, dark, So the flavor of this coffee, it's a lot of it is in, for me, it's in the essence, it's in the aroma. And I would say it is like when a fireplace has gone cold, that smell, okay? Not a campfire, but a fireplace. When it goes cold, that smell, the ashes and the soot, mixed with a bit of a whiskey barrel, an old whiskey barrel type of a smell. And then maybe something like a, like a really old mechanical tool from the 50s, like a drill. And when you turn it on, you get that oily air, or kind of the way like a gun barrel smells, like gun smoke, gun oil after it's been shot, but like 20 to 30 minutes after it's been shot. It has a kind of all those things mixed together is kind of what this one tastes like. So it's a unique flavor. Not sure what they're doing with the roast up until this point, but if you're going to be on the membership with Black Rifle, I would say this one and Blackbeard's Delight are the two best ones they offer in the monthly subscription package. Okay, now let's talk about training. Okay, coronavirus is here. You cannot travel and meet with people to stay social distance away. A lot of facilities are closed. Like you can't even get into a throwing circle. You cannot get into a weight room. If you don't have stuff at your house, you're out on the porch, right? Like you're done. You can't get a barbell. No problem. No problem. At some point, yes, you need some of those tools. Yes, you're going to need a throwing circle. Yes, you're going to need a barbell. But for the interim right now, you can do training programs with nothing other than your implements in your body. When I was training and traveling the world, Dr. Bondarchuk had program designs for Dylan Armstrong and myself, shot put throwers. The hammer throwers were a bit more tied. They needed some facilities. They had to throw hammer in a hammer circle. The shot putters were a bit different. We would get whole training cycles, 2-3 week long. There's training twice a day, okay? And so in theory, you could stretch this out to like 4 weeks, 5 weeks long, where we did a whole training cycle with nothing but what we could fit in our rolling bags while we were traveling, right? So it'd be shot puts, maybe a discus. You might be traveling with a dumbbell. Okay, there were times that when we took 25 pound, 35 pound, 45 pound dumbbells with us on the road to make sure you had that. That was something that we did, at that level, right? But the point is, we were training wherever we could manage with the equipment we had in one bag. Anybody can do that. Anybody, if you have implements and you can get a dumbbell or, a stretching mat or anything like that, if there's a bench out there, if there's a tree you can hang from, there's equipment all around that you can do your program from. There were a lot of times that you would land off your flight and on your way to the hotel, you had to get a training session in because you're gonna get to the hotel, you're gonna have dinner and go to bed, and the next day you'd wake up and compete. And so you had to get a training stimulus in that day. And you might have woken up at 6 a.m. and took a taxi to the airport and had 2 or 3 connections that day with 2 or 3 hour layovers, and you finally get there and you would look on your phone from the airport to the hotel and you get the sat image and find a park, okay? And now if you don't know where you can throw, you don't have any idea, get on Google Maps, okay? And pull up the sat and you can look at parks and you can see where there's parking lots, where are the sidewalks, is there a big flat piece of grass, is there a sand pitch, is there a baseball field with sand that you can throw your shot put onto, that types of things, okay? And that's what we would do while we were traveling. We would say, okay, here's the airport, here's the hotel, what's in the middle, is there a park, is there a track, what's around? And you could even go as far as to try and find out if there was chain link fences up around the track, or if there was even going to be enough distance for you to throw your shot put. If you had a light implement and you needed 80 feet of distance or something, you could kind of see how big the parking spaces were in the parking lot and how big is that grass patch. And we land and get in the taxi and ask the taxi driver to take us to the location of the park or the location of the track, And if it was a track and it was locked, sometimes you had to hop a fence or whatever to get in. And otherwise, you just train at a park and throw off asphalt, throw off of sidewalk, kind of whatever is available to you, as long as you get your throwing stimulus in. Okay, and I'll tell you what, getting out of the circle, getting off concrete is the best thing for developing your balance. Nothing will help you become a more balanced thrower and more proficient at actually throwing something than getting out of the circle, getting off of concrete. Okay, you think it's, oh, I'm, the bush league, like I can't practice like this, I don't have the right equipment. No, that's a hunk of crap, man. Like, you just go get some rocks and work boots and go out and throw in the grass, and it will teach you to be a balanced thrower in control of your body. And when you go back to the circle with your shot puts and or your discus and back to your throwing shoes in the concrete, you'll be all the better. Okay. And so, if anybody has any questions on that, we call it parts program training. I run a similar model with high school kids I work with. We take competition days and turn them into training stimulus, so you don't lose a whole bunch of time during the competition season. But this is a fully viable way to train. And, I'm actually inspired by this situation of, being under quarantine and seeing how people are still pursuing the sport that they love, right? And because this is showing us really what the pursuit of athletic excellence is all about. What can you be creative with? What are you doing? And you know what? I want to see what you're doing. I did a post showing the back of a pickup truck that I outfitted for a cross-country tour I did in 2014. And that was partly to test myself as to how fit my adductor was coming back from rehab before I went to Europe. And I said, well, what can I do to kind of stress it and see if I can still perform under travel strains? So we did a road trip and stopped at national parks and stuff and through. And so that was my rig I had to take across the country and throw wherever, whenever I wanted. Which is kind of similar to what we're doing now. So I think I put in there COVID throwing as a hashtag. I want to see people use the hashtag, tag Rodhe Sport in it, so we make sure you see it. And I want to see where you're throwing, what equipment are you using, what are you lifting with. Don't be ashamed of any of that. Like, show us what you're doing, because that's the creativity and that's the beauty of the sport. All right, I'm going to cut myself off there. Coffee or die, or Coffee Saves Tumbler. Coffee or Die is the coffee from Black Rifle. Next time we'll be back to Bison Union Company. I got a couple coffees that we got to talk about from them. All right. Stay safe. Stay at home.